I picked Check Please Book 1 by Ngozi Ukazu for my teacher book Bento for kind of three main reasons. First off, I just really love this book, and I've been reading it for a long time. I started, I think, in the second year of the webcomic, going back, reading it, catching up, keeping up with it as it's been publishing. So just a book that I love a lot and that I think most readers will find something in it they enjoy. Another reason I picked it is just because thinking about the books that we read this year, that I might already have some things on hand that I could use for a book bento. This stuck right out because I'm such a huge hockey fan that I have a lot of hockey stuff in my apartment, so I knew that it would be pretty easy to put stuff together, particularly since I also even had some little Check Please things from Kickstarters that Ukazu has done in the past before she got an official publishing deal when she would self-publish. And then the final reason that I picked Check Please, and the reason that really relates the most to this assignment, is that I think graphic novels are such a great resource to use with students in classrooms, to get young people reading and to get them reading about topics that they might not otherwise give a chance. I think that graphic novels can get kind of a bad rap because, comic books are seen as just superheroes or entertainment or not that valuable, which isn't true, but that's a whole other story. But I think that graphic novels are really valuable for a lot of reasons. They can be less intimidating to reluctant readers. They can seem like a more fun option to students who might like reading but find reading for class to be a bit of a chore, because they are a little bit quicker to read. It gives you a little bit more freedom in terms of how you work with them in a classroom setting, because there's fewer words per page, so you can have them be read in conjunction with a prose novel, or have the students spending a little bit more time on projects than you might be able to if you're reading strict prose. And I think Check Please is also awesome because it uses sports, which is something that most people like, not everyone, but a lot of people are pretty willing to engage with some type of sports media. But then it uses sports to tell a story of Biddy and Jack and their sexualities and mental health issues that they're dealing with. You see much more of that with Biddy in this volume. In the next volume, you can see more of it with Jack. But it deals with some really important issues that are really relevant to teens in a kind of fun, fairly positive format. So those are kind of the reasons why I picked this book to be my bento, and then kind of looking around to try to put the bento together. I knew immediately that obviously I was going to have a hockey puck in it, and that I was going to use one of my hockey jerseys as the background, just because that is kind of the overarching structure of the book, is being structured around hockey. I also knew that I wanted to include some kind of baking utensil, so I put in the measuring spoons because baking is really as much a part of Biddy, if not more, than hockey is. It's a way that he connects with his teammates and strengthens his relationships with them, and then it's also a way that he deals when he's stressed out. It's kind of an outlet for him. So that's a really important part of his story, and I think the baking is a really great example of how your hobbies and what makes you unique are going to be the things that other people are going to really connect with. And then when I think of Check Please, when I think of things that I associate with it, the stuffed bunny is something that immediately comes to mind. It's kind of a Where's Waldo thing of finding Senor Bunny in the different panels and seeing where he is. And if you look really closely, you can see a lot of times where he's placed or how he's interacted with, even though it's just a tiny stuffed rabbit in the illustrations, that it actually reflects back a lot on Biddy's mood and what he's feeling and what's happening in the story. So I definitely wanted to have a little stuffed bunny there, which was easy because they're all on sale because it's just after Easter. And then at the top above the book, I just had a little Baby Jack magnet that I had from one of the Kickstarters, so I had to put that on there, obviously. I didn't have any rainbow or pride things around my apartment, so I drew up a gay pride flag to represent Biddy and then a bi pride flag to represent Jack. I don't know that you necessarily know for sure that Jack is bi within this first volume, but that is something that gets dealt with more in the later books. So that's obviously a really important theme of these stories that I wanted to include. And then the little anxiety heart, again, to deal with the really important theme of mental health and dealing with anxiety and how that affects Biddy's life and how that's affected Jack's life. So that's another really important topic that's really relevant to teens that I wanted to have represented. And then finally, to end it on kind of a fun note, I thought peaches for Georgia peach kind of goes along with baking, but also being from Georgia is important to Biddy's personality and who he is. And then a lemon for lemonade for Beyonce because Biddy loves Beyonce. So those are kind of two lighter things that are important to Biddy and what makes him unique and different, but maybe not as serious as some of the other artifacts that I included. And then finding the resources was pretty easy for this one because, like I mentioned before, this is kind of a fandom that I've been involved in for a while. So, I already knew that the comics were online and I knew I wanted to include that because I think that is a really awesome resource for students to have because it's something where if a student reads this in school and likes it, they don't even have to go out and buy the next volume if they want to read more. They can just go right online and read it for free. So it's a really easy access point for getting kids to keep reading outside of class. And then same deal with the Twitter. I knew that Ukazu had a Twitter that she doesn't update as much anymore, but did used to update for Biddy that has a lot of kind of fun Easter eggs in it that you can find out a little bit more about the characters or what's going on. So I know I always thought that was fun, and I figured that would be something that teachers could use to show how a book doesn't have to be just on the pages, that there can be more to it than that, and to kind of get students engaged with making Biddy seem more like a real person or a character that is like them. And then just searching for interviews for my last kind of multimedia tag was the one that took a little more time because I just had to watch a few and find the one that I felt was the best. But otherwise, I kind of felt like I knew where to go to find the multimedia tags for this book in particular. It might be a little more difficult for me with other books. But overall, I really like the idea of a book bento. I think a visual representation of a book like this that's a little abstract but does have meaning in it is a really cool way, particularly in this age where, kids are spending so much time on Instagram and Tumblr and these social media sites where pictures are what matter. It seems like a really great way to get kids interested in books and something that you could use at a library to get anyone interested in reading new books or books that you wanted to highlight, but I think it's particularly appealing to teens because it's kind of taking the world they live in, of the world of Instagram, and using that to send them a message about a book that you think they might like. So I thought that was super cool and something that I definitely want to consider implementing in the future, although I think I definitely might have to bite the bullet and get a new phone that has a better camera if I'm going to start doing that.